Secure Boot was supposed to keep us safe. It was supposed to be like a bouncer for your computer that makes sure only the right guest, in this case legitimate software, is able to make its way in. But the latest UEFI malware is like that hot chick that your Secure Boot bouncer just can't say no to. So it slips right in like it owns the place, and it can compromise your computer even
God
across
damn.
operating system resets. This particular vulnerability was found in a UEFI application called reloader.efi, which is signed by Microsoft's third-party certificate and is a part of several system recovery programs, including Howier's sysreturn, Greenware GreenGuard, Radix Smart Recovery, and many more. This custom PE loader.
Oh, I think, yo, it's crazy because I had a desktop and the Microsoft, I guess it was so old, we didn't know the password, so I had to boot it. But it might have had some viruses too. Regardless, the UEFI spec is the only thing I seen. Like, I remember seeing those acronyms. I think it's an acronym, whatever the fuck it mean. I remember because you got to hold the Windows key, shift, and hit restart. It's some crazy way to reboot that motherfucking computer. I ain't gonna cap. And the older it is, the harder it is to reboot. You probably gotta kick it 9 times until you hear the engine rev up. Like, anyway, Microsoft definitely how can I say deprecated some libraries of old Windows. Like, I don't think 2007 through 2014 or 15 is available for installation. So like if you don't got Windows, or if you got a Windows computer of that, your shit either like fucked, like, or you gotta upgrade it. That's why they got like periodic upgrades every 10 minutes.
Doesn't use the standard load image and start image UEFI functions, and as a result, the application allows the loading of any UEFI binary, even an unsigned one, regardless of the UEFI secure boot state.
Step into Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and
That's honestly
enterprises,
wild.
and turn website layouts into an art form.
Now, normally the way things work is when a UEFI boot manager proceeds to load a boot application, such as Grub or the Windows Boot Manager, it verifies that boot application
It's
binary
there.
against two secure boot databases called DB and DBX. The initial database contains a list of certificates for software that's allowed to run on your system, and this list gets preloaded by your computer's manufacturer and oftentimes includes certificates for Microsoft software so that things like Windows are able to boot on them without any issues. DBX, on the other hand, is a database which contains a list of revoked certificates. Oftentimes, these certificates were once legitimate but got replaced with new ones, like the Microsoft Corporation UEFI CA 2011 certificate,
I told you 2010,
that will
2015.
soon be replaced with the Windows UEFI CA 2023 one. So DBX is pretty much the opposite of the DB list, and Secure Boot's job is to make sure any UEFI application that's trying to run on your system is on the DB list but not on the DBX one.
Oh, I see where
Now, the
this is going.
Microsoft CA 2011 certificate isn't actually used by Microsoft to sign their own UEFI software, but rather it's used by third party companies like the system recovery tools that I mentioned earlier. If those applications are able to pass Microsoft's internal review of the software, then they'll get signed with that third party UEFI certificate and be able to pass those secure boot checks on the majority of modern systems. Now, if you visit Microsoft's Hardware Dev Center, they have a post called UEFI Signing Requirements that is supposed to instruct developers of these third party applications what they need to do in order to get their app signed by Microsoft so that it can actually work on people's computers. But Microsoft doesn't really clarify what their internal review process of these apps looks like, and you'll probably come to the same conclusion that I did after you take a look at the exact cause of this particular vulnerability, that this internal review process is not thorough enough, and it probably needs to be changed a bit to deal with the ever-evolving threat of UEFI malware. Now, when ESET was doing an analysis on how your
You know what's crazy? I also have a theory that because pen testing is so frowned upon, like in terms of the community, like don't nobody wanna pay a nigga to break your product. I feel like these companies have programs or instill certain shit to have that pen testing environment. So like they'll stage some of these hacking shit. Like they'll hack themselves, like they'll orchestrate it themselves. That's just my theory because I don't really see how you could pay a third party to hack your shit and risk the like just risk yourself being open to another nigga having a backdoor in your product. Like I don't believe that Mark Zuckerberg would work with anyone else aside from him himself and I. Because why would he give another nigga access and get a backdoor to Meta or Instagram? That's a very closed sourced item. You feel me? Even the whole Twitter and X shit, the owners before Elon had to have had a backdoor in it because Elon was a shareholder and the nigga knew that Twitter was gonna fucking tank during that period. You know what I mean? And everything with the free speech was going on and all that shit was going on. So a lot of these companies might have a backdoor installed already and they have their own pen testing team. And I wouldn't say third party, they have their guy. They have their guy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a guy that every other business goes to just to keep it like simple and friendly when it comes to the playing grounds because it's like the wild wild west. For me to think that there's not one pen tester guy that's known in the industry, I'd be a fool. Like there's probably that one pen tester guy that got the drop on everybody. That's why there's so much leaks going on. So that's my theory.
Sys return software package last year, they discovered a file called cloak.dat that was being deployed alongside the Microsoft signed reloader.efi application. Cloak.dat is actually an unsigned UEFI application itself that is encrypted using a fairly simple XOR cipher. The cloak file can get loaded from a few different locations within your EFI directory. It gets loaded into memory and decrypted. And although this might sound like malicious behavior already, the cloak file itself is not actually malware. And everything here would be fine as long as the buffer that was containing the decrypted image from cloak.dat were to be passed to the UEFI load image function so that it could be checked normally. But unfortunately, the vulnerable bootloader calls its own function that you can see here, which manually loads and executes the image from the memory buffer without any secure boot integrity checks.
Uh-oh.
So if someone places malicious code into that
Into it, yeah.
cloak.dat file, then they can compromise any system that has Microsoft's third-party UEFI certificate enrolled on it. It's also worth mentioning that you don't need to have sysreturn or any of those other vulnerable system maintenance tools installed on your system because all that's really vulnerable here is the reloader.efi file. So the attacker can just bring that with them and their own custom cloak.dat file, which they're going to place onto your system anyway, in order to compromise it. The only reason that this vulnerability isn't a much bigger deal is because an attacker needs to already have admin or root access to the target device. But since this malware is
Do you see what he just said? The user has to have admin to the fucking target, right? Like some of these issues and vulnerability don't occur unless you have specific credentials. Like no programmer codes with dumbass in mind. You feel me? I ain't gonna make no product without a motherfucker knowing how to access it. Me. I'm the motherfucker. I'm the only motherfucker. Sometimes I may delegate tasks off to a trainee or an apprentice. You get what I mean? And this is just how they think at the top. So whoever the trainee is, or look, I got a story for y'all. There's an AI intern, right? He was working for some Chinese company. It's supposed to be competing with Nvidia or whatever. They're training a model right now, right? And you could look into it. Just type in the AI intern that stole 1,000 GPUs. No, yeah, I'm being dead eyes. This should get interesting. This motherfucker goes in and he's an intern and he's like, yo, there's 1,000 GPUs in that bitch. I might as well take everything in that motherfucker and go pursue my own thing right now. Now, a nigga like me, I get 1,000 GPUs? Bitch, I'm mining crypto. Uh, boy, you never gonna see me again. I'm about to mine crypto for the rest of my life. But this nigga went to train a model that's better than the model he was working for. It's like some text to image shit. He created some theory. All I could say is in AI image generation is like they training on inferences. You feel me? This nigga just created the LCM of text to image, my nigga. Exactly. Revolutionary shit, bro. So this motherfucker goes, I'm not giving you your shit back until I finish my project. Finishes his projects, gives them their shit back. Now they're like, hey, look, you used our shit to fucking make some groundbreaking tech. We suing you. This nigga gets a salutatorian award, or no, a valedictorian award, or whatever award. It's a big ass peace prize for this AI project because he definitely did pitch it in his shit. So now this nigga gets there. Everybody in the motherfucking conference room knows he took 1,000 GPUs to fucking use it. But nobody gonna say nothing to this nigga. Why? One, because what are you gonna say to a fucking mad scientist, my nigga? You don't want him a part of your team? Shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you gotta be some special dumbass if you saying no to that. Two, what the fuck are they gonna possibly do to him? They're not working for the company he works for. So the repercussions that they really wanna implement, they gotta wait for the other company to even say something. Them niggas is still trying to piece together what happened. How the fuck did 1,000 GPUs go missing without anyone being informed until the last minute? Like this nigga clearly knows something we don't. So now he's a free agent who's being sued for $10 million. Dude, you can't make this shit up, bro. Most of these vulnerabilities or attacks will come from something internal. Don't no motherfucker want to wake up and say, hey, yeah, let me go rob Microsoft today. It might be fun. No, nigga. Jail. Bitch, jail. That's all that comes with it. You know how heavily clearanced they are in like security? Boy, the minute you type in C++, the motherfuckers already know you in their server. The only motherfucker that could go like supervised and shit is someone internal. They would have to because the certain systems don't detect employees the same way they'll detect a customer or someone who's not supposed to be in the system.
Targeting the firmware of your system, I think it's a much bigger deal because that can be extremely difficult to remove. Like I said, it's able to persist even across operating system resets, which is generally the last ditch effort that even newbies are going to use to try to fix their computer after it's been compromised.
Hold on, before you pay.
I like how he says the word newbies because I'm definitely noobs.
Reset included a proof of concept video demonstrating an attack like this. So here you can see that their testing system is Ubuntu Linux, which is running in VMware. And the person in this video is going to run some commands to show us that they do indeed have secure boot enabled, as you can see there. They're going to show us that their UEFI DB certificates are up to date. And they're also going to show us that the DBX revoked certificates list is up to date as well. So they're showing us their current version is 371 right there. And they're also going to go online as well to show us the most up-to-date DBX version to doubly prove that his Ubuntu Linux system is up to date. And now I believe he's just going to go ahead and run the install poc.sh, which you can see is basically just defining some variables for his EFI directory and the vulnerable app reloader.efi and a malicious payload, which is going to be in the cloak.dat file. So his shell script here is basically just copying those files into place, and they'll get executed when the system reboots.
That's wild. That shit executes once the system is
And then you
rebooted,
can see
bro.
here that his system is now pwned. But of course, if this were a real hacking
God
scenario, the
fucking
malware wouldn't be this
damn.
obvious. It would probably just sit in the background, stealing valuable data, mining crypto, and doing other hard to detect nefarious activities.
Wait, hold on. You could mine crypto if you were hold on, where the heck is that? If you gain remote access to a nigga computer, you can mine on that bitch? Fuck the data. You can mine on that bitch. If you, how much computers would, so, oh, that is a lucrative business, is what you're saying. Yo, look, educational purposes only. Let me get up out of here before next. I like, comment, subscribe, my boy. Thank you for the free game. Yo, look, I'm gonna return the favor, right? He got his Monero coin right there. Go tap in. His Bitcoin wallet coin right there. Ethereum, Litecoin. Go tap in. Information not free, and he just gave us a gem, low key.